everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the India Insurtech podcast. Today, we're speaking with Aman. Aman's the co founder and CEO of B4E Insurtech. But you know what, Aman? I'll let you introduce yourself and we take it from there.
Thank you, Prashant. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Aman Pal Singh, and I own and founded two different businesses. The first one is Benefits for Expats, which is a boutique consulting practice. Our primary clients are insurance companies, reinsurers, certain regulators in certain part of the world, and we also have banks and NBFCs as part of our clients. We currently operate out of North America, Canada. We have clients in Asia and in MENA. The second company that I own and run and manage is B4E Insurtech, which is a niche SaaS platform specifically dedicated to help insurers design, deploy low-ticket mass market products in the most cost-effective manner. Just to give you a background, so we don't charge anything for the platform. We basically want insurers to develop simple products which can be consumed digitally by the end consumer.
Got it. Okay. And which one do you spend most of your time on, Aman? What I want to do is I want to deep dive into one specific area of the business, of the two businesses that you're running.
Most certainly. So our primary business is the consulting part of it, so Benefits for Expats. And everything else that we do stems out of the consulting work that we do with our clients.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. Now that you're doing the consulting practice and you're doing a platform, I'd love to understand the rise of this concept called insurance intelligence. How you see AI, data, and these different ecosystems connect with each other and support how insurers engage and operate with customers today?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting part of the equation that we were kind of working on. Being a consulting partner in a very, very boutique, very niche segment, our primary focus has been to work with insurers, reinsurers, MGAs, large intermediaries, and helping them expand their business out of their home jurisdictions. So if I was to give you an example, an insurance company sitting out of Hong Kong wants to get access to, let's say, a market in the GCC. What do? How do they go about looking at that market from a regulation point of view, from a compliance point of view, from a competitive landscape point of view? What does a customer look like? What does a customer in that jurisdiction want? So that's where we come into play. We do the entire pre-launch feasibility study for the client. Then we also prepare the GTM for them. And if the client wants, we also then get involved with the execution of the strategy on the ground. So just to give you probably another example, which is more relatable from an India context, Gift City, of course, has been in the news for the past couple of years, and we've partnered with most of the players who are currently incorporated in Gift City, so Indian players who are incorporated in Gift City and want to access global markets. So that's where we come into play.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now, I'm also curious to know about what are these benefits for expats you're providing? I'd love to know more about that.
Sure. So we are purely a B2B consulting practice. We are not a B2C consulting practice.
Okay.
But when we talk from a client perspective, so like I said, an insurance company sitting in Gift City wants to get access to NRIs in the international global market.
Yeah.
So they're expats. They're broadly expats for them. And what we realized was that these insurance companies are doing exceedingly well within their home jurisdiction. They know exactly what to do to be ahead of the curve. But when it comes to looking at international markets, the one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really apply. It can't, right? I mean, because the dynamics change dramatically.
Correct.
So when they go about doing the research, in which market should they go? Where should be the first starting point? There's a lot of legwork that needs to be done. There's a lot of effort that needs to be done in terms of the market research, which even goes into the first business case that needs to be presented to the board. So, and that's a lot of exercise, a lot of effort, and the data is not available readily in any one single platform. So that's where we again come in, and that's one of the problems that we are solving proactively through digital means, through tech, as well as through the consulting practice, which is more in person.
Got it. Got it. I'm also curious to know, because you work globally, across different regions, as insurers, fintechs and insurtechs work together with reinsurers, with regulators. I want to understand what you're seeing across the globe from an innovation perspective, and then I'll probably ask about how you guys are innovating in these segment that you function in. But I want to start with the innovation that you're seeing around the world.
Well, again, very, very interesting question. I mean, and that's a very broad one at that. So if you start the discussion right at the top, if you look at it from a regulator point of view, regulators, in our view, are still taking a step back. They're behind the curve in terms of reacting and informing regulations around the use of tech, specifically AI or AGI, as it'll happen. And the way it is being implemented across licensed insurers, whether the approach is more enterprise level or whether it's more opportunity driven kind of implementation. So they are taking a very slow and a paced look at how this entire environment evolves. Broadly, there are 4 jurisdictions on the planet today where there is regulation which exists around the use of tech and innovation, using tech to drive innovation. The next step is where you look at reinsurers or insurers. So they're more use case driven, right? I mean,
Mm,
and when you talk about reinsurers, use of AI or use of AI driven underwriting has been around for a while. It's not something new. It's been there to some shape or form or to some size. It's already been there in the market, right? Again, the end goal is to improve the turnaround times, the sales experience or the customer experience.
yeah.
So the onboarding eventually has to be faster so that the sales can be processed, issued, and business can grow from there.
Yeah.
More recently, on the claim side, we've seen enough evidence on the claim side, which again is to improve the turnaround times on the claims experience, which has been predominantly, again, main focus across most of the insurers. Again, 2 lines of businesses, whether you look at motor insurance or whether you look at medical insurance, that's where the larger volumes sit at. And more recently, again, on the life insurance side of it, but largely because the volumes are more on the GI side and on those
Okay.
mandatory lines, there is evidence that there is enough work that's being done there to improve the customer experience as well as the distribution or the intermediary experience, and then of course overall volumes. But
Mm,
what we've seen and what we've observed as a main challenge is that boards within insurance companies still don't see the use of AI-led initiatives.
mm,
So they don't really understand those properly. So business cases get presented to boards in the shape or form of what used to be the digital transformation kind of a project,
mm,
which exposes the board to a certain extent. So when they take a decision or when they grant a certain amount of capital to implement an AI-led initiative, because there is a fiduciary responsibility that they are responsible for. And if they don't understand the implication of an initiative that is being taken by the management to implement a certain AI-led or an AGI-led feature or a experience,
mm,
and if they're not able to understand or explain the implications of how certain decisions are being taken by the implementation of that technology, what could go right, what could go wrong, simple stuff, but the boards really don't understand all of that part. So the decisions are
mm,
being taken or not being taken because of those 2 reasons that, I don't understand. It's not my area to understand these things. And
mm.
so that's a risk that the boards carry.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the third part of what I do also is I operate as a independent director or a non-executive director with a few partners where we work very closely with the board to help them and the C-level executives to help them understand of the implications of what could go wrong and what could go right, what is the right
Mm,
way to look at implementation of tech across their business, Do they need to do pilots? Do they need to have a vision which is enterprise-wide? And then a roadmap which is drawn over the next few years.
Mm,
How
mm.
do they safeguard themselves against the evolution and the enhancements and the improvements that we currently see on a monthly or a daily basis on when we look at AI or when we look at AGI. So all of those things.
Yep. Okay. All right. Talking about innovation and distribution models,
Uh-huh.
which I think is one of the things that you specialize in. I'd like to get a hot take of yours on embedded insurance. Right. I was speaking to someone who had prepared out a thesis and is going after is an investor, and they were saying our thesis is that embedded insurance may not stay for the longer term, and primarily because everyone's squeezing the carrier from where the insurance is coming in. The distributor wants more and more juice out of the proposition. Of course, if there's a middleman, a platform, because you're a platform, I'm also asking this. Uh, they're the ones who are squeezed the most from both sides, the carrier and the distributor. I'd like your hot take on this, and I'd also love to know what your thoughts on embedded insurance and how you see this actually adding a better experience for the customer, not just as a distribution model, right?
Again, a very interesting question, Prashant. And there are different views to look at it. Embedded insurance can be looked at a pure volume generator,
Yeah.
which then translates into better revenue for the intermediary, better top line for the distribution for the carrier.
Yeah.
But the limitation with that is that you're not really thinking customer at all. And if that model is going to be the direction that is being taken, it's almost next to impossible that that model will sustain over a long duration of time. Take a telco for an example. Right now, they have a sizable chunk of consumers which are there on their app. They are engaging with their app at least once in a month, if not more, to pay bills or to recharge or whatever. So there is obviously a connect there with the customer. But if you're not able to truly think customer and create that value for the customer, which allows or encourages the clients to come back and transact through that app for a certain product or a certain financial services experience, there's no reason that they would automatically come there and then get that experience. Now, the other flip side is consumer goods, right? So which is probably the largest embedded insurance opportunity that's there.
Mhm. Yeah.
The third, of course, is when you look at the utility players in the market. So India, probably I haven't seen that at all, but there are other markets across the planet where you have utility players, whether they're electricity providers or gas providers or water providers, who again have a massive database which sits with them. And these guys have the experience of knowing the customer's usage patterns, specifically to the
Yeah.
line of business or the services that they offer. Now, if solutions were provided which align with those services, are
Mm.
affordable, tangible in terms of translating the value for the money that the client pays in terms of premium.
Mm.
So whether it's
Mm.
a fire or a theft or whatever,
Yeah.
uh, it would make a lot of sense for the consumer to consume those benefits or those services through that utility provider's digital interfaces versus the other way around that we're trying to push something through and then consumer might buy it, might not understand the benefit of it, does not see the value of it, and then would fall off the cliff somewhere down
Yeah.
the journey, and then you don't see them coming back again. Now, one of the challenges that we also foresaw was that legacy systems are expensive to operate, which is why to develop true embedded propositions is very expensive. And the moment you do deploy a embedded proposition, it has to meet a certain critical volume in order to sustain and be profitable for the carrier,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen, right? So I mean, I know you have a very interesting proposition on the digital side, which allows insurers to benefit from that cost of
Yeah.
buying new products. Uh, But most insurers don't have that. They still struggle with legacy platforms which do not allow them to configure products on their own.
Mm.
Don't give them a library of products that they can just go and select and then deploy as long as
Yeah.
regulator approvals are in place. So that also is a big deterrent from truly going out and developing embedded propositions and then growing them to scale.
Mm.
Flip side to that, I mean, you look at the entire digital experience on all other products other than insurance. So whether you look at banking, which is the closest, whether you look at consumer goods, you look at Amazon, Flipcharts, Blinkit, whatever, Swiggy's of the world. Consumers are consuming those services. They are interacting on those platforms, and they're doing it regularly, multiple times in a day. So,
Mm.
so if someone comes back and says that consumers will not interact, I don't think that's a very valid statement. Consumers are already
That's
doing
fine.
it.
Yeah.
So why is it that only and only insurers are struggling to find the right way in?
Yeah. Which actually boils down to your point, right? Are we thinking customer first?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So insurers by design want to keep on doing what they've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a controversial statement, but sure.
It is what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's experience. But hey, look at
Yeah.
it. The industry is over 4 centuries or nearing 4 centuries in maturity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why are we sitting where we are sitting today? And banking, which is the closest in terms of the nature of services that we do, as within the financial
Financials. Yeah.
environment.
Services. Yeah.
Why are they decades ahead?
Yeah.
I mean, they're actually transacting money on a daily basis. Our promise is still in the future, whether it's a 12
Mm.
months future or whether it's a longer future in terms of life products.
Mm.
But why is it that we as insurers are so averse to innovating and just keeping up with the times?
Yeah. No, I think it's great food for thought for us and for our members, which I think we should discuss more on. But Aman, I'd love to get your final take on across different global markets. What do you see, as the evolution of the industry, and how do you think intelligent insurance ecosystems can be built?
Yeah. So in my view, what we've experienced is that there are going to be broadly 2 or 3 different cohorts of insurers that are going to come up, or what we'll see over the long duration. Uh, so the large multinationals will continue doing what they are doing. They are good at that. Customers recognize them to be doing, just that, and they're happy with that. And then you'll have these new age insurers who are driven by tech, who are starting from that point. These guys will be driven purely by insights, which are driven by intelligence gained by using, people like us, other consultants or
Yeah.
digital platforms, which allow these insurers to extract the right kind of insights, understanding of the markets, and then design propositions which are more attuned to the consumers. Uh, because these people are going to be using more insights driven approach, more customer centric approach. And the current tech enables them to start with a very lean team and then deliver similar, experiences or better experiences. Their propositions are also going to be very niche. They'll be very targeted. So they'll be in a better position to cater to a larger segment within their niche that they play in. Um, I mean, if I was to just give an example here, I know of an MGA who is specifically looking at ensuring the glass panels on skyscrapers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's a Canadian MGA?
A US-based MGA. Now they're very boutique, they're very niche. They used to do everything on paper, you know, application forms, but they've evolved. They've suddenly gone digital. They've used the current tech capabilities
Very
that
cool.
are available. And because they are the only ones who are operating in that space, they've created a monopoly for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And India as a market, again, shouldn't be too far behind the curve. I mean, we are building skyscrapers. We have the similar risks. Why shouldn't there be an MGA? I mean, fine. I mean, that's another discussion why we don't have MGAs here. But when we do,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are so many of these niche, propositions which are
Problems. Yeah.
there.
Yeah. No, thanks, Aman. It was great chatting with you. I think we learned a lot, and I'm sure our members will too. But we'll continue the discussion, with you. Of course, lots to talk on MGAs, distribution, and intelligent ecosystems. But we thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Prashant. It's a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you to IIA